make development for the third world. How? Up to date.
We are saying, please completely do away with supplementary budgets. Every year we start with a patch. Every supplementary budget increases our patch because it introduces expenditure. One, we did not approve.
And another story is Busia Governor Paul Otuoma was on Tuesday grilled by the Senate Public Accounts Committee, PSC, over a significant drop in the revenue collection within the county. Appearing before the committee during a Senate Mashinani sitting held in Busia County, Governor Otuoma was questioned on why the county's income from land and development projects had fallen by nearly 50%. The committee also raised concerns about the reduction in funds collected from parking fees, with senators suspecting a possible scheme by some county officials to embezzle public revenue.
Million prior year, and that year he collected 2.5 million. Where did 2.4 million go? Because if you are doing all those things you are saying, then there should be natural growth.
So if you have brought numbers that show a 50% decline, this is in the 2023-2024 financial year, you should have already asked for an explanation from your chief officer. You can't do that exercise now. Because if you are seeing these numbers for the first time with us here,
no, Chair,
it's very unfortunate.
We hit a headwind when we were told to stop it until we do some further consultations, and that was entry fee for trailers. And if you look, like we have got almost 1,000, or is it 2,000 or 3,000? 1,800 trailers that transit here per day.
And in matters of education, academic activities at Dead and Kimathi University of Technology in Nyeri County may soon grind to a halt after lecturers and staff launched a second strike, accusing the institution of failing to honor two previous collective bargaining agreements, CBS. And speaking during the official commencement of the strike, which coincides with the ongoing nationwide industry action by university lecturers, the staff members claimed the university had consistently violated key provisions of the agreements, leaving them frustrated and financially strained. They further alleged that the university management may be mishandling funds disbursed by the government, saying they are owed payments dating back to the 2021 and 2021-2025 CBA cycles.
We have a management here that works and does everything unilaterally without consultation with the union. They treat us like animals. Like as we talk right now, UASU officials have been suspended from the university. Personally, I am suspended from the university. Now, and we have local issues to negotiate.
They need to be able to give us leaders who can be able to talk to the union, because if they cannot be able to engage the union, and especially when the CBA money comes.
And two other sad stories. A 75-year-old man collapsed and died at the Bungoma Law Courts while waiting for the hearing of his land dispute case before the Environment and Land Court. Confirming the incident, Bungoma South Police Commander William Talam identified the deceased as Jotham Wakubuya, a resident of Chwele who had a history of eye disease. Talam said the elderly man was suddenly collapsed moments before his case was called for mention, describing the incident as deeply unfortunate. The judiciary also confirmed the incident through its spokesperson Paul Ndemo, noting that normal court proceedings were briefly interrupted as officers and witnesses tried to assist the man. And stories concerning politics. Leaders from the Orange Democratic Movement, ODM, have strongly criticized members of the opposition over their recent remarks concerning the health of party leader Raila Odinga. Speaking to the media, ODM deputy party leaders Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir and Godfrey Osoti, together with the party secretary general Edwin Sifuna, condemned what they termed as insensitive and disrespectful comments directed at Odinga. The leaders called on their political rivals to refrain from mocking or politicizing Odinga's health, urging for maturity and respect in political discourse.
Mwenye kujiita bakteria, mwenye kujiita virus, sijui mwenye kuita nini, mimi nitawaomba tu kwa roho safi. Please let the name of Raila Amolo Odinga stay out of your mouths. Si level yenu.
I want to call on everybody to respect the privacy of the health of individuals, and as has been said before, whenever Mzee has had health challenges, he has always spoken out.
Kiongozi wetu wa chama cha ODM, Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga, ako imara. Hata leo asubuhi niliongea na yeye akiwa gym. Je, mtu mgonjwa anaweza kuwa gym? Kwa hivyo wale wawachane na sisi, wawachane na chama cha.
And a group of armed youth on Tuesday disrupted a public meeting organized by Kakamega County Women Representative LC Muanda in El Wasambi, Mumias East constituency. The rowdy youth, reportedly armed with stones, stormed the event that had been convened for women and youth groups, forcing temporary chaos and panic among attendees. Police officers on the ground swiftly intervened, managing to arrest one suspect while another was seriously injured during the confrontation. And according to witnesses, the attackers began pelting stones at the crowd before security personnel restored calm, allowing the event to continue.
Wale watu wanaposema ati huenda watu wa Fort Kenya ndio mpini, sisi hatuna mipini. Hao mwanzo ndio maanza kutuchokora sisi, wameleta vita kwetu, wamepiga watu wetu wameumia. Hata kama kuna kijana mmoja amekuwa hapa, wewe kijana songa hapa. Mwanzo wewe kijana alipigwa jana, tuko na vijana wengine wako hospitali, tuko na vijana wengine nao walipigwa juzi Jumamosi, wanaendelea na matibabu.
Na sisi tumesema lazima, nimekuwa na mkutano na county commissioner na security committee, tukasema lazima tuweka amani. Kama watu wanakucha wanakata vijana yangu, kama huyu alikuwa anaenda nyumbani ati kwa sababu ana support mtu mwingine anakatwa. Na wewe unaenda kwa media unasema ati polisi walishika watu walishikwa kwenda kotini ati walifanya makosa. Sasa hii ni huyu kijana ni mpiga kura.
Tumbo imeniuma, nimeendesha sana kwa sababu ya mambo ya Fred. Kuharibia mtoto wangu jina. Yeye alimuona anataka Fred akuja hapa nionyeshe watu wenye anasema ya kwamba mtoto wangu Vincent anawapiga, hata wengine amewafanya nini aonyeshe. Kama ako na exhibit alete hapa, hata mimi niko tayari hata mtoto wangu afanye nini, ashikwe kama amefanya hiyo makosa. Lakini kuharibia mtoto wangu jina, mimi nimekataa. Wamama Chwele tunalia kwa sababu ya nini? Ya mtoto wetu. Kwa nini anaweza kuchukua jina ya mtoto? Na unataka wapigie ndugu yako kura. Kwa nini wewe unaharibu jina ya spika?
Na siwezi ona utofauti wa hizi kura ya siku moja ya tarehe 27. Isababishe maafa, isababishe watoto wetu waumie, biashara iharibike kwa sababu ya kura ya siku moja. Wewe una uamuzi wa kuchagua unayependa.
Kama sisi wa Fort Kenya wanasema tuko na mpini, tuko sijui na nini, wale watu wako ndani. They are not supporters of our candidate. Kama mnajua kijana amekuwa akitembea na Eric ako na nywele mingi na mandefu ya white, ako huko ndani. Sio amepelekwa kotini leo. Kwa watu wote, umeona huyu kijana? Huyu ni supporter wa Vincent. Wengine 6 wako hospitali, we can produce them. Umeona huyu kijana? Hii ni shoka, ule kijana mandefu ya white, ule brown alikata yeye.
And to a different story, a day after Kabuchai Member of Parliament Majimbo Kalasinga publicly criticized the National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula over his leadership conduct, A group of the Speaker's supporters has come out to defend him, calling on the MP to accord him due respect. And speaking to the media, a group of women allied to Wetangula said it was inappropriate for Kalasinga to make disparaging remarks against the Speaker, noting that Wetangula had played a key role in helping him secure his parliamentary seat. They further described the Speaker as one of the most influential leaders from the Western region, emphasizing that he deserves respect for his political experience and contribution to national leadership.
Majimbo hakuwa mwanachama wa Ford Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika akaenda akamshika mkono na akamtangaza kama mkombea wa Ford Kenya Kabuchai constituency. Mara ya kwanza Mheshimiwa Spika kumshika mkono na majimbo anapita kura. Kuna kura Kenya mzima. Kuna kura Kasipul. Kuna kura Malava. Hata wenzetu wa Kakamega. Hakuna siku unasikia mbunge ameita media kutusi Mudavadi. Hakuna siku unapata mbunge amekaa anatusi viongozi wa Kakamega. Hakuna siku unaona Mjaluo ameita media anatusi watu wa Kasipul. Raila ameleta mtoto ya former MP anasimama kura. Lakini majimbo Kalasinga umekosa heshima sana. Na nataka nikuambie ya kwamba kumbuka mahali umetoka. 2013, 2017 ulikuwa unakuja kwa corridor ya Governor Lusaka. Ukihurumisha kama kuna mtu wako na desturi ya kukopa madeni Bungoma hii. Na saa hii umepata pesa unaanza kuita watu majina. Kweli hii dunia haonyo likonjo haonyo enjarata.
Na majimbo Kalasinga kwa sababu amekula ameshiba amepoteza network. Kuanzia leo majimbo uheshimu chama cha Ford Kenya, uheshimu baba wa Roma.
Sasa unatuambia ya kwamba wewe unataka kuwa party wachana na.
And that item brings us to the end of our bulletin this morning. And later, and some minutes after this, we are having Cynthia with newspaper review, and later David Ogont on alcoholism. Stay tuned. I'm Jeff Kimayo. Thank you.
You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world. You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
Have you ever turned on your radio or TV and felt blessed by the Word of God? Imagine if one day the message was no longer there. Right now, EBN TV and Radio Mshindi need your help to keep the gospel on air. For as little as Kenya shillings 500 to as much as the Lord will lay in your heart per month, you can become a partner and ensure that millions continue to hear the life-changing message of Jesus Christ. Your monthly support means more souls saved, more lives transformed, and more hope shared. Join us today. Send the word partner to 0740 653 453 or call 0794 195 392 to sign up. Together, let's keep the gospel on air.
You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
Good morning. Good to have you on the show this morning. Welcome to Morning Live. We're just about to get into the newspaper review to take a look at what is being headlined on the local dailies this morning. I have the Standard and the Daily Nation. Your feedback is highly welcomed. Tell us what your views are or thoughts concerning some of these headlines that we will be getting into this morning. Just before we have our conversation around alcoholism, it is the National Drug and Alcohol Awareness Month, so we want to get into that conversation a little later on. However, for now, let's kick it off with the Standard newspaper that speaks of not our heroes. Now, Kenya's national honors, once a badge of integrity and service, are now mired in controversy. A new shortlist of 60 nominees for state awards has triggered outrage after it emerged that several contenders, amongst them members of parliament and senators once accused of corruption, hate speech, fraud, and even murder, are being considered for top decorations. Critics warn that the system meant to celebrate patriotism and heroism risks being reduced to a reward scheme for the politically connected. That is the headline on the Standard newspaper this morning. If you can take a look at it on your screen, we have 4 members of Parliament who have been sampled: Didmas Baraza, Kimilili Member of Parliament, William Kamket, Tiati MP, Fred Kapondi, Mount Elgon MP, and Sirisia Member of Parliament. Now, essentially what we have as a country, the norm is that normally the head of state will get commendations and award, awards, head of state commendations, HSC. You've seen people who call themselves EGH, and so Elder, of the Golden Heart Spear. And so those are some of the awards that normally would be awarded to outstanding individuals in the country who have contributed to science, to academia, to journalism, sports heroes as well. But according to the Standard newspaper, some of these individuals who have fallen into that list of 60 award nominees are people who, have been associated with scandals in the country. Now, for example, John Waluke, the Member of Parliament in Western Kenya for Sirisia constituency, was involved in a protracted legal battle after he was found guilty of fraud and illegal acquisition of more than 300 million shillings in 2020. He was sentenced to 67 years in prison with an option of paying a 1 billion shillings fine. However, the High Court was later faulted by the Court of Appeal, with the Court of Appeal saying, the High Court had fallen short of providing sufficient evidence, and so that set him free. He was not, fined the 1 billion shillings. Neither did he go to prison for 67 years. Now, one other individual who's also been nominated is Didmas Baraza, the Kimilili Member of Parliament. If you remember, in 2022, just after the elections, and he had won his constituency seat, he was accused of fatally shooting an aide on August 9th, 2022. That was a case that was, if you remember vividly, was quite controversial, because just after the incident, he went missing in action, MIA, and the DC actually put out an alert as a wanted person over Didmas Baraza. He later appeared, went to the DCI, went to the corridors of court, and was set free by the High Court in 2023 after it had accused the prosecution of providing insufficient evidence. So those are 2 individuals, one over a corruption case, the other over a murder case, who are all set free by the courts, and have been nominated for this award. Talk about William Kamket, the Tiaty Member of Parliament, his controversial remarks leading to the June 25th demonstrations, to which he said, and I quote, "If you think the rungu-wielding goons who stormed Nairobi are trouble, come back next week and you'll know who the Pokot youth are." And this year, Kamket hit back at those attacking Ruto's administration and his verbal threat to extend Ruto's term to 24 years. Now, the MP is no stranger to controversy. In 2014, he was arrested after the murder of 21 police officers in Kapedo following an ambush by bandits. And he's never really been charged in the corridors of court, and that is also one of the gentlemen on the top of the pages this morning. Now, remember, these are people who have been set free by the courts. Now, the MPs and senators were charged with criminal acts and were cleared by the courts. However, analysts maintain that the process of selecting beneficiaries should involve high ethical standards. They argue that leaders with tainted reputations should not be considered to prevent erosion of public trust and dilution of the value of the conferment of honors. And as I began by mentioning that these are awards which are given to individuals with exemplary contribution to the country or to the county, either through economics, social life, scientific, academic, public administration, governance, sports, journalism, business, security, or other fields, which brings up the question on just what's the criteria? How do they select individuals who receive these awards or these honors? And so, just as the Standard puts it, not our heroes, and that may be the feeling amongst many, many people who feel like this should go to people with high ethical standards, because once you've been involved in a crime, whether you've been set free by the corridors of court, your image is tainted, the perception changes as well for some of the individuals in the country, and so perhaps that explains this headline this morning. Also, medics strike, families mourn dead children. Babies have gone or have borne the greatest brunt of healthcare workers strike in Kiambu County, now in its 134th day, with newborns dying daily. Now, the situation in Kiambu is getting out of control, and we've seen medical workers who have been on a strike for the better part of this year, 134 days. That's quite a lot. If you do a simple month over month, which has got 30 days, then you're speaking about 4 months of strike, and newborn children are dying. And there was some statistics that was released just a few weeks ago where it had just put those deaths at more than 100. Losing 100 children is not mere stuff. And so agony for families after losing newborns amid doctors' strike. Expectant mothers lose babies in public hospitals as doctors' strike bites, as county government and the doctors' union point fingers at each other. Now, the KMPDU had threatened that the whole country will join the strike to ensure that grievances of these Kiambu doctors are met. Now, Kiambu County government in its part is also playing the hardball game. And so it's a question of who will blink first. But at the end of the day, in Swahili, they say, fahali wawili wakipigana, nyasi ndio huumia. And so in this case, the nyasi that is really suffering are these mothers and these children, because 106 deaths have been reported of newborns across Kiambu County in the last 4 months, when doctors in public hospitals have been on strike. Another scenario is where a mother has to travel all the way from Kiambu, go to a neighboring county, could be Nairobi or Machakos, just to be able to access medical services. And that's not the essence of health or devolving health functions. It was devolved so that we ease the burden on maybe Kenyatta National Hospital to have people access medical services regardless of where they are. But if all public hospitals are striking in Kiambu County, then you're likely to have an upsurge of patients at the Kenyatta National Hospital or an upsurge at private hospitals. But the question is, can private hospitals handle all cases that come to their doorsteps? Also talk about the funding part of it, where the medical bill is likely to go up higher. What you would have been treated for a lesser amount of money, you're likely to pay much higher in private hospitals. So it's a bit of a pull and push between these two key functions, that is the county government as well as the KMPDU, and we hope that it's a situation that will be resolved as soon as possible, because those numbers are too high. Parents are grieving, and it's just a total a total discord of what the democracy, the devolution, the national unity is all about if you're having two functions really in this position. So that is the headline this morning on the Standard, and some of the top stories concerning the awards as well as the Kiambu County's situation with the strike. And we're also talking about the education sector. Capitation as well, a big challenge. Students stuck as Don's state clash over 7.9 billion shilling dues. Now, lecturers have been on strike for the better part of last week. And that means university studies have halted. University students are crying. There are some who are supposed to have graduated. They're failing to graduate. If you are to do a 4-year course, you're likely to see this stretching out to a 5-year course. And some have actually gone out or even threatened to strike. For instance, in Laikipia University, they have threatened to also go on strike, the students themselves, calling on the government to sort this issue out with the university dons. At the center of it, 7.9 billion shilling dues, which have not been remitted to university lecturers. So every sector in this country, as we speak right now, there is a big problem. And the reason I say that is if you go to the Daily Nation, and the headline this morning speaks on SHA, more pay, less benefits, the Social Health Authority. If we could count the number of times we've had SHA make it to the headlines, and not in a good way, but in a non-functioning way, just in the month of September alone, as well as this October, it's multiple times. Question is, are these crying getting to the right people? Or are they somehow being filtered somewhere? So SHA, more pay, less benefits. That's the headline on the Daily Nation this morning. Authorities say a review of medical benefits is due next year. Cancer patients are suffering, and they are suffering pain of inadequate cover. And 1 year after the launch of the Social Health Authority, which is funded by hefty statutory deductions on workers' incomes, cancer patients are demanding a better oncology package, saying the current scheme is insufficient. Many say they are forced to pay out of pocket for life-saving care. Those unable to pay have had to abandon treatment after exhausting their cover. This has been the situation, and some of the survivors are on top of the page. Egla Wambuya, a breast cancer patient; Robert Marine, a childhood cancer survivor; Agnes Washeke, a breast cancer patient; Margaret Wanjiru, a breast cancer patient as well. And they were protesting yesterday, just calling on the Ministry of Health to review that oncology package to be able to get more coverage of them, because they're not able to access coverage at this point. So Benefits and Tariffs Advisory Committee Chairperson says they're receiving petitions, but they should do more than just receive petitions. They should actually work on those petitions. Patients and survivors hold procession appeal for better SHA package. 1 year later, as we marked the SHA anniversary, well, these are some of the challenges that are facing it, and not just with the oncology package. We've got even just the primary health care, as well as access to medical services, not medical services per se, but the remission of that bill to the hospitals, especially in level 4 hospitals and level 5 hospitals. There's a huge gap. However, the Ministry of Health has says they are up to date with the reimbursement of the fees, the medical fees to hospitals. A while back, we saw RUFA, the Rural Urban Private Healthcare Facilities, which had suspended medical services in their hospitals due to a ballooning debt, not just with SHA, but also with the defunct NHIF. So 1 year of SHA, are these still teething problems? Not quite teething problems anymore. Some of these issues should have been sorted out just within at least the first 3 or 6 months of the transition. And it is a wait and see on just whether or not this oncology package will also be looked out after. Now, also top of the page on the Daily Nation, Sifuna Camp battles Gachagua project tag. Kenya Moja Alliance, led by ODM SG Sifuna, has now attacked impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua for labeling other opposition leaders as state projects. And that's a story you can find on page 6 of the Daily Nation this morning, where Sifuna faults Gachagua over divisive talk. He says opposition risks disintegrating as a result of divisive utterances by the former Deputy President. Speaking to the local daily this morning, Nation, Sifuna said the opposition risks disintegrating as a result of the divisive utterances by some of its leaders. who he said are keen to isolate others for their selfish political ambitions. He said the focus of the opposition should be to rally behind the broader agenda of denying Ruto a second term in office. The vocal Nairobi senator also claimed there is a scheme to railroad Kenyans into believing that only a few members of the united opposition have a chance of challenging Ruto at the ballot. Now, the united opposition conversation, we've had it quite a number of times, different aspects to it. The Kenya Moja camp, which is sort of a new alliance of youthful MPs, you'd argue, Sifuna, Babu Owino, Caleb Amisi, Gathoni wa Mushomba, and these are some of the leaders who have allied themselves to the Kenya Moja camp. Also, education inside overseas employment plan for jobless tutors, as the Teachers Service Commission, TSC, is exploring foreign jobs for many unemployed teachers. Also, tax waivers, immunity for UN bosses Dutch farm. A House committee has granted massive tax exemptions and immunity to a Dutch farm associated with the Chancellor of the University of Nairobi, Professor Patrick Vakoijen. Staff of the Global Center on Adaptation will have immunity from prosecutions and enjoy a raft of tax reliefs while in the country. Their spouses, dependents, and relatives will be accorded a similar perk. Last year, President Ruto appointed the new Dutchman as president and CEO of GCA to the university job. So those are the headlines on the local dailies this morning. Standard Note, our heroes. Daily Nation, SHA, more pay, less benefits. So allow us to take a quick break at that point. When we come back, we'll be having our conversation that is around alcoholism, as it is the National Alcoholism Awareness Month. So more needs to be done. Is it being done or no? And what should be the conversation this month of October? Stay with us. We'll be back shortly after the break. Don't go too far.
You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.